Good morning, class. So, what are we planning to do today? Has anything been done in my absence? Did you have English last week?
We finished Bangalore syllabus.
Bangalore syllabus.
And cold. And hard.
So, what are we planning to do today then? Which chapter? Which one? Is it there for your syllabus?
Yes.
So, daffodils is done already? Has it been done in anyone's school? Daffodils? Done in your school. Huh? Let's start with that one then. Page number 25, children. Daffodils is a nature poem by William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth is known as a nature poet. He writes only about nature. It's a very classic poem. It begins with, I wandered lonely as a cloud. So, the poem begins with the poet stating his premises. He is saying that I am wandering like a cloud. So that exudes that the poet is very free, at leisure. You know, a cloud floats wherever without any specific direction. So I wandered lonely as a cloud. Also, it is in the past tense. So he is narrating an incident that had already taken place. Yeah. So what happened some years ago. Now he is writing a poem about it. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. Vales is valleys. I wanted to open your module also to daffodils so that simultaneously we can keep writing the meanings of the words. Page number? So let's underline the words that have been given in the module in our textbook so that we can write the meanings. There is the word sprightly. Yeah. Anyone wants to join us online? I have asked you to underline the words which are given in the module as word meanings in the poem in your textbook. So I hope all of you are doing that. Finish underlining. Done? Done? Shall I give you the word meanings? Wandered is roamed about. Floats is drifts. O'er is over. Vales is valleys. A crowd, a host is a group. Fluttering is swaying, moving. Bay is a large water body, almost like a lake, a large lake. $10,000 is an exaggerated number. Glance is a quick look. Tossing is turning side to side. Sprightly is lively, very active. Come to page number 133. Gay is happy. One 133. Oh, outdid means did better than the others, performed better than the others. Sparkling is shining. Glee is again happy, smiling. Gay is also happy. Jocund is joyous. Oft. Anyone who knows what's the meaning of oft? Often. Couch. Anyone knows? Sofa. Vacant. Empty. Alone. What is that? Unoccupied. Unoccupied. Next word is pensive. Anyone? What is the meaning of pensive? Reflective. Inward eye. Anyone? I beg your pardon? In? Inner mind. Retrospective it is called. Retrospective. When you are thinking in your mind about the days passed by. Bliss. Satisfied pleasure. Solitude. Beg your pardon? Alone. Read the poem one time in your mind. You have already underlined the words that are in the book, and you have already written the meanings of the words that are in the book. Apart from that, if there is any other word that you want to know the meaning of, please ask me that. Go through the poem one time in your mind. अच्छा उसने नहीं किया. Is there anyone else who is still not signing attendance? Anything that anyone wants to ask? No? So, I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. Actually, what floats? Can you give me an example of something that floats? Leaves float. That is not their prime function, correct? They are supposed to be attached to tree. Something that's primary function is to float. Boats, ships. So somewhere he is comparing I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats. So there is some comparison here, clouds and boats, both having the common finality of not having to follow a road. In opposition to a car moving on a road, it has to stay within this, correct? You have a Palm Beach road. The car cannot move anywhere, na? कि मेरे को on a vector scale, I can go like this and my classes will come. Can the car do that? The car has to go like this and like this and like this and then come here. It cannot break barriers and come like this. But this is not the case with a boat or a cloud or an airplane for that matter, though they do follow paths. They do follow fixed heights, otherwise they crash into each other. So airlines are given a particular height because the aeroplane can move from this height to this height of the sky. So each airline has been given a certain height so that they do not bump into each other. They do follow a set path in the sky. But what I'm trying to say is a cloud and a boat both have this thing of wandering. So what the poet wants the reader to imagine, he, the poet, a young poet who has not yet written this poem, is wandering in the fields with no set path, with no fixed direction. He's just there. जैसे अगर आप बहुत बड़े किसी गार्डन में चले जाओ, maybe इमेजिका में फिर भी you have to take left turns and right turns to reach certain rights. But if it's an open field, how you can just go anywhere? That is what he wants you to imagine right from the beginning. He is creating an image in your mind right from the beginning. So this poem has a lot of visualization because himself, he has had an experience where he visually saw something and that is what he is writing about here. So very beautifully, it is a very classic poem. It's given a very high rating in the world of poetry. Because right from the beginning, when the reader reads, he is getting images. There are colors, there are objects, which are bombarded in the reader's mind. There is a vivid imagery. So how we portray this in our answer beautifully, we say, the poet is painting a picture in the reader's mind through words. Please write this sentence down somewhere. वो सब फिर आप ऐड करोगे, the poet William Wordsworth in the poem Daffodils is, वो सब आप ऐड करोगे. So the poet is creating visual imagery comma, painting a picture in the reader's mind comma, with the use of words. So he is painting a picture with words. Clear? I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. He belongs to UK. UK has lots of valleys and hills, open grounds, at least it used to have. When all at once I saw a crowd. All at once is giving us the impression of the poet did not expect to see what he saw. He was taken by surprise. All at once I saw a host of golden daffodils. Daffodils are flowers which are very beautiful. They're kind of delicate. You blow on them, the petals wither. Those are daffodils. But when you see in a group, they almost look like sunflower. They're yellow, golden in color. They shine. घर में जाके YouTube में check करना daffodils कैसा दिखता है. So I saw a host of golden daffodils. He doesn't say yellow. He says golden because they're shining so much. Beside the lake, beneath the trees. See how he's painting the picture? So you're seeing yellow flowers and you're seeing that it is beside the lake and you're seeing that it is beneath the trees. So there is a picture painted. Fluttering and dancing in the breeze. The flowers are quivering, swaying in the breeze, the wind. Continuous as the stars that shine. You people don't get to see many stars. 100 years ago, there were lot many more stars in the sky. So he's saying they are looking like stars in the daytime because there are so many, because they are shining, because they are in line, infinite. So these three comparison between the daffodil and the stars. Continues as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. You know what is Milky Way? What is it? They stretched in never-ending line. Who is the they? Daffodils. Along the margin of a way. You understand what is the margin? I thought you will ask me this word. So this is a way like a lake. This what I have drawn, the edge of the lake is the margin. The margin. If anyone wants, you can underline margin and write edge. The border. Along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance. A glance, I told you, is a quick look. In a quick look, could he have counted that there are 10,000? Then he wants the reader to understand that there were so many. That's why he says there were 10,000. हम बोलते हैं ना हजारों लोगों की भीड़ लगी हुई थी. So we have not counted that there were some 5,000 people. But what we want the listener to understand is that there were so many people. So that's why he's saying 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The wind is swaying them, they are quivering. ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे they are dancing. So when a person dances, what is the emotion? Happy. He himself, wandering lonely as a cloud, like a boat over the hill, is he very happy? Is he having ambition and goal? He's like sad and depressed. But how are the daffodils? They are dancing, they are happy. So that's why he calls them a host. The host over here has a pun, not only meaning a group of daffodils, but host meaning जैसे आपके घर में कोई गेस्ट आता है तो आप उस गेस्ट को एंटरटेन करते हो. खुद के लिए एसी ऑन किया हो या नहीं किया हो, गेस्ट आता है तो एसी फटाक से ऑन होता है. खुद पानी पी रहे हो बट गेस्ट हैज कम, उसको रू अफ़ज़ा दिया जा रहा है, ट्रॉपिकाना दिया जा रहा है. द बेस्ट इज सर्व टू द गेस्ट. व्हाई? बिकॉज यू आर द होस्ट. You want to entertain. Whatever mood the guest may have come, you want the guest to feel comfortable. So it's almost that the daffodils are doing this for the poet. They are making him feel comfortable and happy and in a place where he wants to be. That's why he calls the daffodils a host. Got that meaning? इसको एक दफे टेक्स्ट बुक में लिख लो. A host लिख के उसके दोनों मीनिंग लिख लो. First meaning is simple, that they are a group. Second meaning is that they are behaving as if the poet is a guest who is come into their house and the daffodils are doing everything to make the poet feel comfortable and happy. Done? 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them dance. The waves of the bay, they are also dancing. But they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. Now there are two parties who are dancing, the daffodils also and the waves also. But whose performance is better? The daffodils. They outdid the waves. How? In their glee. The happiness was more in the daffodils than in the waves. Therefore, it is like the daffodils got more marks. They were the winner, not the waves. A poet could not but be gay. Matlab, the poet has to be happy. Any poet who would come in such an atmosphere had to be happy. But to be gay means has to be. In such jocund company, a company, the other people who are there are so cheerful and lively that his sadness is gone away. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. उस टाइम पे जब मैंने वो चीज देखी थी तो मुझे नहीं पता था कि it is going to be something that I am going to treasure all my life. This happens with us also. When we are going through the experience, we don't realize. Maybe we can talk about your pre-primary section, if you remember, or your primary section, wherein you had those, teachers being so sweet to you, or your friends being so plain, taking things from your tiffin box and all that. Doesn't happen now in secondary. More so now when you will leave school and you will go to college, you will really miss your school very much. But right now you don't realize. So the poet is also saying at that time when I saw the daffodils, I did not realize that I am going to treasure this wealth all my life. Because now, first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, he has spoken about his experience with the daffodils. It's almost like flashback. Now in the fourth paragraph, we come to the real time. Now he is an old man sitting in his couch, remembering the experience he had when he had gone to that place. For that the first, second, and third paragraph are in the past tense, they are almost like a flashback, and the fourth paragraph is in the present tense. That is what is happening currently when the poet is writing the poem. Then, for often when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, giving the impression that he's a retired man, he's unoccupied, he's thinking about his past, he's not in a hustle bustle. They flash upon my inward eye. They come into my mind. The memory flashes, which is the bliss of solitude. So he's alone. And in loneliness, having such images is wow wonderful. So it is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. It's almost like my heart also starts dancing with the daffodils. He's not lonely anymore. He's not sad anymore. He's happy with the memory. Read once more, then we'll discuss the figure of speeches. This poem is full of figure of speeches. Almost every line is a figure of speech. Who can tell me which figure of speech is the first line of the first paragraph?
Simile.
Simile, please mention it, write it in your textbook. Second line, that floats on high over vales and hills. Which alphabet? H, okay, high and hills. Metaphor. Third line, when all at once I saw a crowd. Why? What is personification? No, it's not personification. No? Inversion. It is not in the prose form, it's in the poetic form. It has been inverted. When all at once I saw a crowd. It should be I saw a crowd at once or something like that. Now the second last line of the first paragraph, beside the lake, beneath the trees. Which one? Alliteration. B and B. Okay. I am looking for imagery. Because when he says beside the lake, beneath the trees, the reader is forming an image, he is getting an image in his mind, so imagery. Fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Okay, imagery also. What else? Personification. The daffodils are given the human quality of being able to dance. Done. Second paragraph. Continues as the stars that shine.
Simile.
Simile and alliteration. And twinkle on the Milky Way. Metaphor. They stretched in never-ending line. Imagery. It's almost as if he wanted to repeat the same figure of speeches in his poem. 10,000 saw I at a glance. Inversion, very good. What else? Hyperbole. Tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Personification. The waves beside them danced, but they. Personification. A poet could not but be gay. Inversion. I gazed and gazed, but little thought. It's an easy one. Repetition. oft when on my couch I lie. Inversion. They flash upon the inward eye. Now this is a figure of speech called transferred epithet. The inward is an epithet, meaning adjective, which has been given to the eye. But it's not the eye that has gone inward. It's just that the image is formed in the mind, not in front of the eyes. So it's a transferred epithet. The epithet inward has been transferred from the image to the eye. Because you have an entire question in the volume which is always about the poetic devices of the poet. So you have to list all these down there. Which is the bliss of solitude? This is paradox. Because solitude implies something sad and alone, whereas bliss implies something happy and satisfied. So it is opposing ideas in the same line. Therefore, it is paradox. P-A-R-A-D-O-X.
Can it be antithesis?
Antithesis?
Antithesis.
No.
It should be opposite words.
That is oxymoron.
Then anti.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Paradox and oxymoron and antithesis. Now, what is the difference between the two? So, paradox is opposing ideas, which I think is here. Oxymoron is opposite words, if you have up and down in the same line. But antithesis is something I think which opposes each other, which I don't think is the case here. But I will check it out. Yeah. And then my heart with pleasure fills. Inversion. And dances with the daffodils.
Personification. Because the heart is dancing with the daffodils. So it is even the human character of dancing.
So basically not, what did you say? Personification, but synecdoche. Because the heart is standing for the poet, part for the whole.
Yeah.
Synecdoche. Dances and daffodils. Any confusion with poetic devices? Let's come to the rhyme scheme.
Can you repeat that figure of speech transfer?
Transferred epithet, meaning epithet is adjective. It has been transferred from the eye, from the image to the eye. The inward is the image actually. It's not the eye that is inward. It is the image that is in the mind. So inward has been transferred from the image to the eye. Therefore, epithet has been transferred. Transferred epithet. Rhyme scheme. Anyone over here who doesn't know how to frame the rhyme scheme? All of you know? Who doesn't know? Raise your hand. Let me explain to you then. You don't know? You also don't know? So we have a poem like Jack and Jill went up the hill. No, it should be like that. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Correct? So Jill and hill is rhyming. So this will become A and A. Pail and water is not rhyming. So this will become B and C. So the rhyming scheme will become A, B, C. तो अभी जो आपकी पोएम है I wandered lonely as a cloud. तो cloud आपका एक वर्ड हो गया. उसके बाद you have that floats on high over vales and hills. तो cloud and hills, is it rhyming? तो clouds will become A hills will become B. तो आप बकायदा उसके लाइन के एंड पे लिखो स्मॉल a and hills के बाजू में लिखो small b. बेटा लिखो. And then you have when all at once I saw a crowd. Now is crowd matching with cloud or hills?
Cloud.
तो वो A था तो ये भी A हो जाएगा. इसके बाजू में भी लिखो A. A host of golden daffodils. Daffodils is rhyming with hills was B. So daffodils will also become B. तो अभी तक हमके पास आ गया A B. करेक्ट. इतना हमारा राइम स्कीम डेवलप हो गया. Now let us see. Beside the lake, beneath the trees. Is it matching with any word that has already come? So we cannot give it A. We cannot give it B. We will have to give something else, that is C. तो वहाँ पे साइड में लिखो small c. Then the next line is fluttering and dancing in the breeze. किसी के साथ मैचिंग है? किसके साथ? Trees. Trees को हमने क्या दिया था? C. So this will also become C. तो हमारा क्या डेवलप हो गया? A B C. This is my rhyme scheme. Because मेरा फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ यहाँ खत्म हो गया. अगर अभी आप नोटिस करोगे सेकंड पैराग्राफ में सेम राइम स्कीम हैज बीन फॉलोड. फिर से आपको एक DEF दिखेगा. But we don't mention the rhyme scheme for the entire poem. Just first paragraph को बता दिया, that is sufficient. At graduation level you have to mention the entire poem. ठीक है, आपको सिर्फ एक पैराग्राफ का देना है. So the rhyme scheme of this poem is ABCC. Everybody clear about this? Yeah. Let's look at the question answers in the module. Anything not understood in the poem, children?
In the third paragraph, the last line.
What wealth the show to me had brought. So when I was witnessing the daffodils, the sight of the daffodils, at that time I did not realize that this image is something that will stay with me all my life. I did not realize that as an old man, when I'm lying all alone in my house, so far away from the daffodil, the same sight will come back to me. This has happened to William Wordsworth over and over again. Because when he writes the poem A Solitary Reaper, also very similarly he is passing through a hill and he sees a lady harvesting the crops and singing some song which he doesn't understand. But then right now as an old man sitting in his house, he remembers that and it's as if he can hear the same sound again. And again there also he mentions that at that time I did not realize that I will remember this song all my life, although I did not even know that language. So this happens to Wordsworth many times, over and over again. He always reflects back to something that he has experienced and then he writes a poem about it as an old man. Samjha beta, last line? Yes. Or anything else not understood in the poem? Clear? So, what's your name? Yellow t-shirt? Prashansa. Will you read the summary? Write today's date on page number 131, please. Switch off the AC. Where's the remote? उसने रखा है 18 पे. तो कर दिया मैंने अभी. प्रशंसा स्टार्ट कीजिए.
The poem is like an ode to nature where the poet imagines himself floating around like clouds, aimless and forlorn. One day, he happens to chance upon some daffodils growing along the river banks. The flower looked bright and happy and seemed to be dancing with glee in the gentle breeze. It is like a celebration of being alive and one with nature. The poet is drawn by the beauty of the surrounding and his heart joins in the dance of the daffodils. The vision and the emotions are deeply etched in his mind and leave a permanent impression. He feels the same joy whenever he revisits the memories in his imagination. It is like a solace to him whenever he is sad or lonely. Thus, the oneness of humans and nature, the deep influence our surroundings exert on us, are well elaborated in the poem.
Anything not understood? Solace means a kind of a satisfaction that you think for yourself. Yes, I am at peace with myself. Any other word? Etched. Etched means एक होता है पेपर पे लिखना जिसको आप रब कर सकते हो, एक होता है स्टोन में एनग्रेव करना जिसको आप ऐसा सच मिटा नहीं सकते जब तक आप स्टोन तोड़ नहीं दोगे. Etched actually क्या है? You know, you have those beakers or those test tubes or the thermometer or your scale which has certain markings which are kind of engraved. तो वो लोग क्या करते हैं, वो मार्किंग्स करके वहां पर वो लोग एसिड डालते हैं तो उतना जो प्लास्टिक है वो निकल जाता है. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एचिंग. ग्लास के अंदर ऑल्सो व्हेन यू हैव मार्किंग्स, हाउ आर दोस मार्किंग्स क्रिएटेड? दे हैव अ लाइन ऑफ एसिड दैट इज पुट देयर, तो वहां पर वो मार्किंग्स आ जाता है. सो दैट इज एचिंग. सो ही इज सेइंग एच्ड. सो बेसिकली व्हाट दे मीन टू से इज दैट इट इज written in his mind, the image is created in his mind and it can never be erased. Permanent markings. Anything else not understood in the poem? Let's go on to the critical appreciation. Did you read, beta? What's your name? Sohan.
Title. The title is simple and very apt as the poet enumerates the effects of the daffodils on the poet's mind. In a lonely and contemplative mood, the poet was wandering around in the countryside when his eyes fell upon a group of daffodils. In his eyes, they seemed to be dancing gleefully in the winds and the vision became a source of constant joy to him for years.
You read the theme?
Theme. The poem is a lyric which depicts the poet's feelings and state of mind. Wordsworth has appreciated the beauty of natural landscapes, particularly a cluster of golden daffodils. The poem follows a rhyming pattern as A B C C in each stanza, and each stanza ends in a rhyming couplet. The poem is inspired by a real incident. Wordsworth and his sisters were walking in the woods when they came across a large number of golden daffodils. A few years later, he gave poetic expression to his experience. The poem belongs to the Romantic period of English literature when rapid industrialization was taking place, changing the landscape and the environment around. Poets like Wordsworth became a part of literary movement that celebrated the beauty of nature and individual human experiences.
So the meaning of the word lyric, the poem is a lyric. Lyric means it's like a song. It has rhyme, it has meter, it has rhythm. The poem is such that आपको ये आप एक गाने की तरह गा सकते हो. It has rhyme, meter and rhythm. It's a lyric. Then when he says that it is a couplet, each stanza ends in a rhyming couplet. Couplet means two lines with rhyme with each other. हमारा जो rhyme scheme है, it is A B C C ना. So then that becomes a couplet. Two lines that rhyme with each other. The last two lines of each paragraph rhyme with each other. So it's a couplet. Then when they say he gave poetic expression to his experience, it means he wrote a poem about his experience. Done? What is your name? Joanna's partner. You'll read page number 25 about William Wordsworth.
No study of English literature is complete without a reading of William Wordsworth, who is perhaps the greatest of the romantic poets. It was he who rallied for the use of everyday language, common people, and things in poetry. Wordsworth was a great lover of nature, and this poem was inspired by a real-life experience. Once, when he walked with his sister, he came upon a sight of a belt of daffodils beside a lake with the wind blowing over the flowers. The sight of this vast expanse of yellow flowers inspired Wordsworth to write this remarkable poem. He goes on to tell the reader that long after he had this experience, the mere memory of the sight would lift his spirits when he felt rejected or depressed. The well-known poem is
Eulogy.
Into the restorative powers of nature.
Anything not understood?
Eulogy.
Eulogy means a contribution, a speech in the honor of, like that. So when you are talking about the message that the poet has given, your key phrase will be restorative powers of nature. The message, I'll ask you to write this after I've finished explaining, so listen carefully. The message that the poet William Wordsworth hopes to give his readers when they read his poem The Daffodils is the restorative powers of nature. So in the first line you will mention this, then in the second line you will explain what is restorative nature of power. William Wordsworth feels and wants his readers also to believe that nature, being very passive, yet has the power to heal a human being in his time of need and loneliness. The mere sights of pleasure that we experience, at that time we are not aware that it has a curative power on us. When we may be alone or sad, at that time just the memory of those sights can make us feel better. It can pull us out of our depression. It is important that this word come in because it's the word of the millennia right now, although it was when Wordsworth was doing this. So we want to portray in our answer that the poet wants to let the reader know that nature can be very curative in making the human beings feel more at peace with themselves, not turmoil, not agitated, but calm and composed and peaceful and satisfied and blissful. Getting the idea? Write the message of the poem. on to page number 134. The solved exercise. Can you start reading it, Rita?
Now you will have to read this as well.
Yeah.
Continues as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. They stretched in never-ending line along the margin of the wave. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Why does the poet compare the daffodils to the sun? Answer: the brightly colored daffodils reminded the poet about the twinkling stars. Also, there were so many daffodils spread along the banks that they seemed to resemble the night sky with numerous stars shining in the Milky Way. This stretched in never-ending line explained. Answer: the daffodils were dotting the banks of the bay, growing in abundance under the shade of the taller trees. The poet here uses the phrase to express the large number of blooms. 10,000 saw I at a glance. What does the poet use? Number 10,000. What literary device is used here and why? The poet uses 10,000 as hyperbole to depict the large numbers in which the daffodils bloomed along the banks of the bay. There were many blooms, and their tossing movements gave the impression of the sea, the rippling waves, and hence large numbers. What was peculiar about the dance of the daffodils? Answer: the lake was also abounding with waves as the wind blew, but the daffodils' sprightly movements made the dance look more joyous and lively than those of waves. The daffodils surpassed the waves with their graceful movements. Why does the sight of daffodils come to the poet's mind later in the poem? The poet remembered the pretty sight of daffodils along the river banks for many years after he had experienced it. The beauty and the feeling of joy it had aroused in him stayed on with him for a long time, and whenever he was sad or gloomy, he would think about the daffodils, which would energize him and make him happy once again. The waves beside them.
Yeah, continue.
The waves beside him danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. The poet could not be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. How did the daffodils outdo the waves? Daffodils, being lighter and more in numbers, seemed to toss and sway in the wind in such a manner that they seemed more energetic compared to the waves on the water. To, to the poet, the dance of the daffodils seemed more joyous than the dance of the waves. What is meant by a jocund company? Which jocund company is the poet referring to? Why is the poet find it jocund? Jocund company is when one is surrounded by happy and merry friends. They are not only happy themselves, but definitely uplift our spirits as well. Here the poet is surrounded by happy hills, valleys, a river, and daffodils. The surroundings are such that they uplift his spirit. He was happy. He was wandering around lonely and sad, but the beauty and joy of nature caught his spirits and made him dance with him. Which wealth is referred to by the poet? Explain how the wealth was brought to the poet. The wealth referred to by the poet is wealth of nature's beauty. The treasures nature has in store for us. The trees, the rivers and lakes, the flowers and plants. All are being referred together. The poet who was initially lonely and sad was brought to a blissful state of mind when he began to enjoy his surroundings. Even after many years of this experience, whenever the poet felt sad, he would imagine the sight of daffodils and feel the joy in his heart again.
Okay. Beta, can you continue?
What is the mood of the poet in above extract? Which lines tell you so? Why is he in such a mood? The poet is in a happy mood and enjoying his solitude. The lines which express his feelings are a poet could not but be gay in such a jovial company. Nature's beauty surrounding him in the form of dancing waves and daffodils, the sight of the hills and valleys, and floating by the clouds have transported him to the world of joy. With reference to our extract, state by Wordsworth can be called a natural nature poet. Wordsworth as a poet had joined the literary movement, exploring the beauty of nature during the Romantic period of English literature. He was also the proponent of individuals' experiences, and thus in this poem we take full liberty to express the wealth that nature bestows on us. He has elaborated how nature is entwined with our lives and how she relates to our feelings and emotions. Hence, Wordsworth can be called a true nature poet.
Anything not understood till here? Able to understand? Okay. Continue, Beta.
For oft when on my couch I lie in a vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with trouble. Who are they referred to in the third line here? When had the poet come across them? Here they refers to the daffodils whose image was captured in the poet's mind. The poet had been roaming around the woods one day when he came across a cluster of daffodils tossing in the winds. What makes the poet become happy again? The poet has treasured the sight of the daffodils and the wave dancing in the wind on a particular day when he was solitary and aimlessly walking along the woods. This image came to his mind whenever he was lonely or pensive and lying down on his couch. He relived the experience of that day in his imagination, and his heart always filled with joy. Explain the bliss of solitude in the context in which it has been used. The poet used to lie down on his couch feeling lonely on certain days. Whenever such a situation arose, he would think of daffodils he saw once while walking through the woods. The beauty of the scene would turn his solitude into a bliss, as he would be able to relive the experience and feel tremendous joy. How does a pleasant past experience become a source of immense joy to the poet? The experience left such indelible marks on his mind that he could enjoy those past moments again and again in his imagination. Thought it was a past experience, it could provide him with joy in present and for years to come. What do you think is the message of the poet conveyed through these lines? The poet is trying to convey that every individual should spend time in the lap of nature and gather experiences of nature's beauty that surround us. These would provide us immense joy for eternity. I'm sure I agree.
Yes, yes.
Continuous as the stars shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretch in never-ending line along the margin of the bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. How are the daffodils compared to the stars? The daffodils are compared to the stars because they are shining in sunlight, like the twinkling stars in night sky. Also, there are so many numbers that they resemble the numerous stars dotting the Milky Way. What is the Milky Way? Why is it referred in the extract? The Milky Way is the name of the galaxy which contains the solar system. It is shining bright band in the sky made of stars and other cosmic bodies. It is referred to here because the poet wants to compare the environment to the galaxy in which numerous daffodils are shining like the bright twinkling stars in the galaxy. What do you mean by the margin of the way? The margin of the way refers to the banks of the lake. Various plants and natural flora grow along the banks of such water bodies. See how the technique of using exaggeration heightens the poetic effect in the extract. The poet compares the daffodils to the shining stars in the Milky Way, presenting the expanse of their growth around the banks of the lake. He also highlights their numbers by using the hyperbole 10,000 saw I at a glance.
So you see, while writing the answers, you can mention certain lines from the poem. That becomes very impressive, you know, and you must, wherever possible, name the author or the poet. Because our motive is to have an answer which is better than the rest of the million answers that the teacher is going to give. So that then she can end up giving you full marks for it.
This is an exaggeration of the number of daffodils growing there, but serves to paint a picture of glorious beauty and brightness spreading across the entire area. Briefly describe the musical quality of the extract.
Now, if you see a question like this, describe the musical quality of the given extract, you are at a loss. क्या answer लिखना है? You know, so see how you have to frame an answer for a question like that. It is very simple actually, but just try to understand the funda of how we are going to answer if they ask what is the musical quality of the paragraph that has been given to you. Read better.
The extract has described nature's beauty in such a way that it seems like a harmony of pleasant music, the visual effect of shining twinkling stars in the Milky Way, and the joyful dance of the daffodils to the tune of the gentle wind, blend to make the poem a musical quality.
To this, I think we can add the rhyme scheme of the poem. We can add that it is a lyrical poem. We can add that it has a couplet at the end of each paragraph. We can also state that each paragraph has 6 lines. The poem has 4 paragraphs, because when they are asking us about the musical quality of the poem, then we want to mention that there is a certain symmetry to the rhythm, rhyme scheme and harmony that is followed in the poem. Therefore, it is like a song. So it has a great musical quality. We can expand our answer like that. Okay? Try to write the answers which are given in the volume. Since you don't have the volume, you can start doing the practice exercise, which the others are going to do as homework. You can do it here instead of wasting time. Anyone else who doesn't have the volume? Can you go and ask ma'am in the break time to give you a volume if she has one? Wherever you need to see the summary once again or refer to the textbook, you can do that. This is not a test you are answering, but you frame a good answer. You occupy all the lines that are given in the space there. Paraphrase means write the summary, write the meaning of each line of the paragraph that they have given. So they have given the first paragraph, आप उसके हर एक line का meaning लिखो paraphrase में. Write the question and then write the answer. That will be the when you are doing the practice exercise, you have to maybe not write the passage, but you have to write the question and then write the answer. नहीं तो वो जो आपने लिखा है आपके किसी काम का ही नहीं, आप एग्जाम से पहले उसको क्या देखोगे? If you're just writing the answer, you must write question and then answer. जो practice exercise है. Yes, बेटा. Yeah. What do we want to do after the daffodils? The patriot we want to do. एक ही दिन में 2 points. Let's do either grammar or MOV. MOV. You will do the question, no? Has anyone gone through the syllabus that ICSE has sent? Yeah, you have access to it right now. You have your mobile. Do you have it now? Can you have access to it now? Okay. Please go through the syllabus. There is a certain amount of syllabus that is deleted. For you.
Some active MOV app when an actual is not there.
Yes.
But it's not accessible.
Right?
I don't know. Because,
Mobile data is on.
yes, on. When I click on 2023, it's not coming. Otherwise, when you click it, would have come. Must be on.
Can you write it on a piece of paper and please give me for paper 1 also and paper 2 also? Yeah? Take better.
No, sorry.
I think you will also get it then.
No. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's take a break, then we will continue with the movie. 9:15 our lecture will start, isn't it?
For homework, you complete the daffodil. Practice exercise as well as the one which is in the volume. How can one switch off this AC? I think you people are feeling very cold. There's another remote for this AC. See? One more. That?
followers तो बढ़ेंगे ही। तो दिल्ली भी गया, दिल्ली आना तो आएगा क्या मारे तो 200
फर्स्ट जून को नॉमिनेशन
कितना कम है नहीं मैटर गुजरात आसमी दोनों में से कोई एक से राजस्थान क्योंकि वो लोग एक टाइटल जीत चुके हैं चलना है तो ये को लोग उसके बाद तमिल जीते नहीं उसके बाद
और अगर तूने ग्रामर किया है, अगर ग्रामर किया तो तू मालूम भी करना
मैम वैसे भी चेक नहीं करते हम चेक करते
किसके नाम और वो व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप
मैं पढ़ा नहीं था भाई सबका मार्क्स क्यों देना पढ़ा है
कब
पंद्रह मिनट में रिपोर्ट में टेस्ट कर 5 मिनट में रिपोर्ट में 10 मिनट में दो बार तो ये सब नहीं हो रहा ये ऐड कर रहा है ये ऐड कर रहा है चल बाहर नहीं इसको खाने लेके जा
स्कूल वाले लोग